For years, my wife and I have wanted to visit the Oregon coast. It's known for its beautiful beaches with their impressive rock formations and the rolling, forested mountains of the Coast Range. We had been following the Pacific Crest Overland route for 1,500 miles through California and were just a few miles from the Oregon border. But first, we wanted to find some caves, and had just spotted something promising on the map. So we just left camp and we were driving on the road out to Lava Beds National Monument, and I saw a thing labeled Mammoth Cave on the map, and I thought, yes, this is my chance to get a sweet drone shot of a cave. Obviously yesterday it was raining, so I couldn't get that cave, and later we'll be in the National Monument, so we won't be able to fly any drones there. So we pulled off the side of the road here, getting ready to get this sweet video of the cave, and well, this is Mammoth Cave, so I guess it's not really worth getting the drone out for it. Well, it looks like it actually goes back a decent distance, but again, drone's not going to work, and I'm not going in there. A short distance further, we entered the National Monument, which was much less disappointing. There are over 800 caves and lava tubes in the area, with up to 24 of them open for you to explore. The caves have different lengths and difficulty ratings, and we started with the only cave in the monument that has a paved path or lighting, the 770-foot long Mushpot Cave. The second cave we visited was the Sentinel Cave, which at 3,280 feet long is the longest easy-rated cave in the monument. This one is unpaved and unlit, but with much larger caverns and a loop hike that is well worth visiting. All of the caves in the park were formed from ancient lava flows between 10,000 and 65,000 years ago. As lava flowed along a stream, it cooled on the surface, creating a protective shell. Inside, the lava level would eventually drop, hollowing out the tube. As you explore, you can see where it has run down the walls, leaving behind flowing rock formations. Well, now we have to pick up the Pacific Crest Trail again, and really the only place to pick it up is right next to Crater Lake. So we're just going to head straight up there and see Crater Lake today. There's supposed to be about 8 inches of snow there tonight, so we figured today's going to be the day to go see it. I completely forgot that in Oregon you don't pump your own gas, but it is so much cheaper here. We saw it for $7.39 in California, and it is $4.89 here. So we've been, I'm down to some fumes now, trying to get back into Oregon before filling up. The drive up to Crater Lake was like entering a winter wonderland, with beautiful snow-covered trees and deep drifts on either side of the road. As we climbed, we entered the clouds, and by the time we reached the visitor center at the summit, the visibility was terrible. Thankfully, as we approached the viewpoint, there was a break in the clouds, allowing us to see the other side of the lake. At almost 2,000 feet deep, Crater Lake is the deepest lake in the US. It sits inside a volcanic caldera that was formed in a massive eruption just under 8,000 years ago. It's one of those places I've wanted to visit for a very long time, and while I wasn't disappointed by the view, I really want to go back when the sun is out. We really struggled to find a place to camp tonight, and that's because we passed up hundreds of great spots up in the National Forest to come down here to about 10 miles outside of Medford, Oregon, because I wanted to have cell phone service for tonight. I want to start planning out the next leg of our trip. Basically, the part that we're on the Pacific Crest Trail is just too high altitude. We're here too early in the year, and the result is there's just too much snow for us to make it through. So we're going to head over to the coast and start heading up the coast of Oregon for the next couple of days. So what that meant is we ended up coming out to some BLM land, trying to find a spot to camp, and unfortunately it's closed to motorized vehicles. So we have just pulled up in a parking lot at the end of the road. So not very glamorous, but it'll do the job, and it allows me to start planning. Another good thing about coming down here is it's in the upper 30s and dry instead of in the low 20s and snowing up in the mountains. That evening, I sat in the tent and created a route for us using information from the Onyx app and my benchmark atlas. And we are back off-road. We're in the Siskiyou National Forest. I probably shouldn't have even bothered trying to pronounce it. I should have just said we're in a national forest. We're in the national forest. There you go. Cut the rest of that. We'll go with that. And so we're just airing down because I don't really know what this trail is like. On X, it's just shown as a green road. On my atlas, it's just a dotted road that shows that it is unpaved. But we're airing down because it's been a little washboardy for the last couple of miles, and I was at highway pressure, so I'll just make it a little more comfortable. And if it ends up getting rougher later on, then I'm already prepared. So like I say, I don't really know what this trail's like. We're just going to head up into the mountains and hopefully it's pretty. The goal is to get to a campsite that I know just off the coastline by the end of the day today. The route ended up being a mixture of well-maintained gravel roads and slightly neglected dirt roads that twisted its way through Oregon's Klamath Mountains with beautiful views around every turn and along each ridgeline. So far this route has worked out really, really well. I've had some great roads, actually pretty well maintained for the most part, going through the mountaintops, which is exactly what I wanted, because that's where you get the views and the great drone shots. We did just come to this sign. It says travel not advised through May 31st. Today's the 30th, so I think we'll be alright. We'll go check it out. Despite a few patches of lingering snow, the road itself was clear and paved all the way through. I had planned to leave it to go back into the mountains, but time was short and we had to get back to cell service that evening for my wife Elizabeth to work the next day. As we dropped out of the mountains, we ended up following the Rogue River out to the coast. Made it to the Pacific. We're on the beach and it's really cold, so let's go. From the beach, it was back up into the mountains to head to camp. Tonight's campsite more than makes up for last night's campsite. Just look at the views out across the Pacific. I actually had this one recommended to me by Justin. It looks as though other people have camped up here. There's a little firing just over there. But I'm really looking forward to seeing the sunset, and apparently tomorrow morning, if the clouds roll in off the Pacific, it looks really cool. So I have to set up some time lapses for that too. I'm also surprised at how little wind there is up here. You know, down on the beach, really windy, really cold, and there's just the slightest breath of wind up here. So I think this is going to be a good little campsite. I'm looking forward to seeing it in the morning. Unfortunately, the time lapse last night didn't work out. According to the app I have, the Milky Way would have been like right over here, heading across over the ocean just as the sun rose. But when I woke up at 1 a.m. to set it up, it was so damp out here, like there was condensation over everything. I just wasn't comfortable leaving my camera out overnight in those conditions. So obviously I need to pick up like a little rain jacket for it or something so I can do that in the future, because I think it would have been a really cool time lapse. Still, this is a great spot. You know, it's really calm. There's not a breath of wind here. You just got birds singing in the trees around us. And of course, we're so far out of the way that no one else has come up here at all. And I doubt anyone will while we're up here. And there's great cell phone service too. So Elizabeth's got some meetings she's attending. She's got some work she needs to get done, which means I can just sit up in the tent and edit some videos this morning. So it'll be a late start before we head down to the coastal highway and head north along the coast. We just stopped off in Port Orford and had a fantastic lunch at a little place called The Dive, and we decided we'd walk it off by coming out onto the beach. And it's a little windy, but it is a beautiful place out here. We continued up the 101 along the coastline, stopping to see the noisy sea lions at Shore Acres State Park, and the lighthouse at Newport before finally heading inland again. We are back in Central Oregon again, and we're actually staying at a campground tonight, and we're staying at this campground because of this. It is a natural hot spring here. This one's actually way too hot for us to get into. It's about 200 degrees, so I think like the hot spring in Dante's Peak, you wouldn't want to get in that. But they pipe it out of here and across to a pool up by where we're camping. So we're gonna go set up our tent and enjoy a nice hot soak.